Good morning. I'm Lacey Shippey on the Rural Radio Network, and it's time for our midday livestock update with livestock market analyst Kyle Bumsted. And so far, we're higher here to start the week. Kyle, tell me what you anticipate for trade this week.
That's a good question, Lacey. There's a lot of moving parts here in this cattle complex. But coming off of Friday there, we had the cattle and feed report here. Every 3 months, the USDA gives a steer and heifer breakdown. Back in October, the October number was 38.1% versus 39.7%. That did indicate some light heifer retention going on back in October, but here in January, 38.7% versus 38.7% last year. So there's been no heifer retention as of this report here, or they say there's no heifer retention here on this January report. So here we got feeder cattle higher. We've got March feeders up $1.87 here at 362.05. Their high's been 362.75, so just a little bit off of the daily highs here. April live cattle snipped 87 cents here, 237.80. High's been 238.52. Now a lot of folks are kind of looking at that February live cattle contract here as we had higher cash last week, and a lot of folks are anticipating higher cash trade this week. And looking at the spreads there, that Feb-April spread may have put in a bottom here last week, so there could be some non-commercial interest coming there as far as from a speculative standpoint. Now on the feeder cattle side of things here, this could get very interesting as well. Thursday at noon, the January feeder cattle, they go off and they're going to be settled against the cash index. But something to think about here is we don't have a lot of sale barns open here in the south, and we've got very light volume here in the north. So the feeder cattle index today looks like it's going to be up about 8 cents there at 363.55. That daily average of 360.54 on 9,207 head. That daily average price is 6 cents higher than last week, and the direct trade was steady. Fort Pierre kept up the trend with $8 lower, but was still at 390. OKC and Joplin are both canceled today, along with many other southern sales in the path of this storm that that's taking place right now. And I think the index will be higher tomorrow based off light volume here in the north.
That is livestock market analyst Kyle Bumsted with a look at our midday trade here on the Rural Radio Network.
If you farm or ranch with family, this one's for you. Surviving the Family Farm takes on topics that most people just want to avoid until it's too late. What happens when expectations go unspoken? When the plan is, we'll deal with it later. Well, you're not alone, and this show proves it. Here's a snippet of Surviving the Family Farm.
Don't be afraid of the tension, because it's a tense conversation.
You can watch and listen to Surviving the Family Farm at ruralradionetwork.com.
In agriculture, a handshake still matters. So when it comes to a farm and ranch lease, well, clarity matters more. Who's responsible for inputs? What happens if conditions change? And what's your exit plan? At Rimbaud Ludke, we help landowners and operators put strong lease agreements in place, built to protect relationships and legacies for the next generation. Because good leases don't just prevent problems, they preserve partnerships. Learn more at RimbaudLawFirm.com.
Welcome back to the Rural Radio Network for a check of your markets. Grains are lower this morning with outside markets and pressure from South American weather. It appears that the forecast has turned wetter for Argentina and a bit drier in northern Brazil, where harvesting of soybeans is underway. Traders are also watching the tensions with Canada very closely today. Corn futures are slightly lower. Last week's export inspections were still strong at 1.5 million metric tons, with year-to-date pace at 153% of last year. Soybeans are 4 to 5 cents lower. Weekly inspections were solid at 1.3 million metric tons, with yearly pace now at 63%. And the wheat markets are lower after last week's rally. Weather for the plains looks to warm back up to seasonal temperatures, with overall moisture remaining limited for the West. Last week's exports were okay, with yearly pace at 118%. March corn down 2 1/4 at 428 1/4. May down 1 3/4 at 436 1/4. March soybeans down a nickel at 1062 3/4. May down 4 1/2 at 1075. Chicago March wheat down 7 at 522 1/2. May down 5 3/4 at 533 1/4. Kansas City March wheat down 9 at 531 3/4. May down 8 at 542 1/2. March soybean meal down $5 at $294.90. March soybean oil up at 17 at 54.16. February live cattle up a dime at 235. April down 7 cents at 236.85. March feeders up 50 cents at 360.67. April up 67 at 359.42. February lean hogs unchanged at 88.35. April up 70 at 96.90. And class 3 milk for February up 70.